Okay, so my group and I are presenting on ADHD. And the formal definition of ADHD stands for attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. It is a neurodevelopmental disorder, and it's any range of behavioral disorders that include poor concentration, inability to focus on tasks, impulsivity, and difficulty paying attention. I included a little image that focuses on ADHD in children. Um, but ADHD is hard to diagnose before the age of 4. Usually, general education teachers are the first ones to kind of develop or bring up concerns when it comes to deficit hyperactivity disorder. It makes sense because, when we go to school, we're kind of in a setting where we have to sit still for a while, and some of these issues come about in the classroom. So teachers are usually or teachers or educators or school staff are usually the ones to bring it to parents' concern. Um, and the way these diagnostics work is with testing, rating scales, psychological testing, and behavioral observations. The 3 ways to promote inclusion, I'm going to be focusing on promoting peer support. So we know that when students interact with their peers, they feel more confident. So we want, as educators, to try to maximize the amount of time that they spent with their peers and communicating with their peers. We want students to interact with each other. So when giving class instruction, be clear, short, and use concise sentences. So after instruction, try and demonstrate the activity or lesson and work alongside students in small groups to include a child in the activity rather than directing them to finish the activity on their own. This is a great suggestion, but I will say that sometimes educators don't have the time to sit with or meet with small groups on a regular basis. So I also did want to note that another example of clear, short, and concise and using concise sentences um, could be like, for example, instead of telling your class, okay, everybody turn around and talk about your homework that you did last night with your peers. Someone with ADHD may start thinking about last night and what they did last night and then go off of that and then forget the objective at hand. So instead of saying, okay, turn around, talk with your peers about your homework last night, you say, I'm going to write 3 questions up on the board. You would write 3 questions up on the board, answer these 3 questions with your peers. So now they have something back like to look at, and it's a little more clear. So a second way to promote inclusion is through assistive technology. There are different apps and tools that provide support to students with ADHD. Examples of these kinds of tools include interactive ebooks, graphic organizers, and games. So with the second strategy, or the second way to promote inclusion, there are tools that help with time management as well. This kind of textual technology support helps break barriers, and when barriers are broken, students are more inclined to want to work together, and it encourages them to succeed, which brings us to our third point, is immediate positive reinforcement. Now this one seems very simple, and it is. Students with ADHD respond best to immediate positive reinforcement. So this means on the spot praise can lead to better engagement and learning outcomes. Behavior and performance chart systems can help students visualize the progress. So instead of telling a student, if you complete this activity or try your best through this activity, at the end of the week, we'll get more 10 more minutes of outside recess time. That's kind of a long-term goal for them. So in the moment, thank you for finishing your activity. I see how hard you're trying. It's immediate positive enforcement that only encourages students to continue what they're doing. I am going to transition into the video that we picked in our group. And then after this video is over, Kevin is going to lead us into the physical, social, and emotional needs that come with ADHD. This kind of wraps up a little bit of what ADHD is.
We all have ADHD, and we're going to tell you a bit about it. ADHD stands for Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder. Did you know that anyone can have ADHD, even adults? About 1 in 20 children have ADHD, which is more than one in every class. Someone in your family may even have it too. If you have ADHD, you might feel like you have a lot more energy than others, find it hard to pay attention, get distracted easily, find it hard to sit still, or not shout out or interrupt others. Lots of people feel like this sometimes, but for someone with ADHD, it might feel like this most or all of the time. This can't get in the way of doing important things, like in school with homework and friendships. This can sometimes get them into trouble more than others. Not everyone with ADHD has the same difficulties. ADHD can appear in different ways at different times for different people. That's why sometimes it's hard to tell who has it. Some people may also have difficulties with reading, spelling, or being clumsy. Some may have difficulties communicating with people or have bigger emotions than others, like feeling more worried, sad, or angry. Scientists have found that the brains of people with ADHD can work in a special way, including parts of the brain that help with things like attention, stopping and waiting before doing things, and organizing thoughts or actions. For me, ADHD feels like you're watching TV, listening to music, and talking to someone all at the same time. It's really hard to know what to pay attention to. A special doctor can tell if you have ADHD. They will speak to you, your family, and your teachers to find out more about you and think very carefully before deciding if somebody has ADHD or not. They will also talk about the type of help you might need. Knowing that you have ADHD can help you and others understand you better. You might need help with things that you find hard, and that's okay. It's important to find out what these are and talk to your family, teacher, or doctor about it. There are some things that you might be able to do to help yourself with support of your family and teachers. For example, taking breaks or having a chart of what you need to do can help some people. Eating well, trying to get a good night's sleep, and getting regular exercise is important too. Some children with ADHD need medicine to help with their difficulties, and some do not. Not everything works for everyone, and nothing works all the time. So it's best to find things that suit you and that you enjoy too. Scientists don't know what exactly causes ADHD yet, but they know that it's complicated, with lots of different things acting together, including genes, which are instruction manuals in our bodies that help make us who we are. The environment, which are the different things that happen to us in our lives. Although it can be hard sometimes, there are some good things about ADHD. It doesn't stop people from achieving their dreams and being successful. Lots of famous people, like some athletes and actors, have ADHD too. In fact,
ADHD helps me have amazing ideas.
I'm one of the funniest kids in school. I have lots more energy than others.
I have fun in everything I do. I can think of more questions to ask teachers than any other person in my class.
ADHD is just one part of who you are, and it's okay to have ADHD. Find out more about ADHD by going to ncmh.info/ADHD.
Hello, my name is Kevin Hurst. My slides are all about the needs that the student needs who may have ADHD. Some physical needs could include just giving them some fidgets that they can manipulate in their hands when it's time to really focusing for long periods of time on lessons. Students who have ADHD could have a harder time of remaining focused. So some solutions, some needs they could, benefit from is just some really simple things such as fidgets for their hands, as well as flexible seatings. Just allows different movements for their legs when they're sitting there for long periods of time. These are just little things that we can give them that physically can help them just stay focused and be more successful in class. Also, some social, emotional needs as well. Every student needs these at any grade level, but especially the ones that we're dealing with here. But students with ADHD, also some activities that they can just use to express themselves. It can be something as simple as journaling or just doing little all about me, either posters or activities. That way they can not only share with others about themselves, but they can also physically be putting it to paper, and that way they can just get extra affirmation and extra confidence by not only writing the stuff down, but also sharing it with others, whether it's their peers or teachers. Some ways to address these needs, just in general, I'd say one of them is patience. Patience is key in any aspect of this field, but students who have ADHD, sometimes as a teacher, your patience might be tested a little bit. I'd say just to not take it as personal or that they're intentionally trying to throw off your lesson or distract the class. Sometimes it's just impulse control and they have a hard time with it. Again, patience is a virtue, and just remaining calm and positive can go a long way in these situations. Another way to address these needs is to just really be about a routine and sticking to it. Children who do have ADHD thrive on just routine and predictable steps and schedules of their day. Obviously, if things come up and if we need to improvise, it happens, but for the most part, sticking to a routine and getting the student just involved in a routine and consistent, schedules and timeframes will help a lot. There's so many ways to support these needs and to address them, but positive reinforcement is another really good one. Just giving them simple, attainable tasks that they can complete, just for pretty quick affirmation, and as well as praising and celebrating their success, big and small, when it comes up, can also be beneficial to this student.
Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna be doing my part of the presentation, which is related laws. So these basically just the laws that like Arizona has to help people with ADHD. So there's the IDEA law, which is Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, which is where ADHD can qualify under the category of other health impairment and give access to special education services like IEPs, 504s, that kind of stuff. And then we have Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act, where it protects students with ADHD who don't need special education support, but they still require some kind of support. And then we have the ADA, which is the civil rights law that prevents discrimination due to ADHD in like schools, testing workplaces, and like public settings. These laws matter to make sure everybody with ADHD in schools has equal learning access and to ensure fair opportunities through service. Okay, and they also did the 3 community resources like around the Arizona area. So there's the ADHD Clinic of Arizona, which is basically just like where you go in and like they can like evaluate you and like give you a diagnosis. And then there's the like it's also like a mental health clinic, so it's like the same kind of thing. There's the Phoenix Children's ADHD Clinic, which is around the same like idea, but it's mostly for children like under 18. And then there's the KEGE Center for ADHD, which is in Gilbert. And that's just like looking for more of a diagnosis, mostly upon like adults and stuff. So, yeah, thank you.
Okay, Haley shared the related laws and the 3 community resources. I'm gonna wrap things up here real quick. I'm gonna go into our 3 strategy resources. Okay, so one of the first ones I found it's called CHAD. This is a little local for it. Children and adults with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. It is a website, but I did link the PDF file that I liked. Let me see if I can click on it. Yeah, so recognizing ADHD in the classroom, I really liked this link because they have a few other ones, but this one had the images, what it is, and descriptions under it, which I thought was really neat. And then strategies and tips to help students with ADHD succeed. I feel like this is something we could use in the future as educators, and it's really like broken down very easily. Inattention, disorganization, relentlessness, impulsivity, and then all that information. And this is the website that provides information for classroom accommodations. It was like really easy to follow too. And this one I did talk about earlier as well, but this is a link to it. Let me read the description. The pre-K through 12 program provides educators with lessons. This pre-K through 12 program provides educators with lessons that are easy to use. It provides tips and information on how to teach students with ADHD. It is an updated website with timeless strategy. Okay, this is called Positive Action. I used this link earlier for some of the information I obtained for the presentation. It's also pretty cool and easy to follow. 10 proven strategies for teaching students with ADHD in 2025. And then it does give suggestions. Yeah. So some strategies, how to teach students with ADHD. I thought that was pretty cool. Incorporate physical activity, which is what we talked about earlier as well. Like the restlessness in the classroom. So just like trying to keep students active, encourage students to self-monitor, gamify the learning process. So these two links are easy to follow, and I think they're just like reliable in any sort of like educational field that we might go into. It's just like nice and easy to follow. And then the comprehension questions that we came up with is what accommodations that support a child's physical and emotional needs stand out to you? I know we talked about a few, so we would like to know which ones stand out to you. And are there any strategies or accommodations not mentioned in the presentation that you have used or plan to use in your educational journey? Please post your replies on the Yellow Day comment section along with any other suggestions or comments. So I know, Haley and Kevin, and we all talked about different strategies, accommodations, laws, and all this information provided in the presentation. Is there anything that we might have missed that you guys are familiar with or would like to share with us? I would like to see it in the comments below. Thank you all for listening.